Welcome to Mental Makeover Radio, your go-to destination for meaningful conversations about mental health. I'm your host and your trusted therapist bestie, Cecilia Manella. Join us as we explore the complexities and messiness of human experience by addressing your questions and concerns. I'm here to provide a straightforward and practical therapy advice. So grab your favorite beverage, whether it's tea, coffee, or whatever tickles your taste buds, and get ready to embark on a mental makeover. Hello and welcome to Mental Makeover Radio. I am your host, Cecilia Manella, and I want to wish you a happy new year. Hello, beautiful 2024, and goodbye, somewhat challenging 2023. It's a new year, and all around us, we hear all about resolutions. So it's no shock to you that we're talking about resolutions today, or maybe anti-resolution, since I actually don't want you to set any resolutions. You know, all you have to do is open up your phone and go into any app, and you're going to see all about resolutions, whether it's health goals or achievement goals. All we do is hear about them, read about them, how to set them. And even people will ask you about them. I have people in my life always asking me about resolutions. But here's the thing. Would it surprise you to know that less than 3% of people actually accomplish their New Year's resolutions? 3%. It's such a staggeringly low number. It's somewhat humorous that we even do it to begin with. You know, is there anything else in your life that you do or set energy into that has an average of a 90% failure rate? I'm guessing not, because at the core, humans, you and me and everybody else, we really hate to fail. So it's shocking that we still do this thing that has a 97% failure rate. Now, why do we do them? Mainly probably because everybody else is doing them. So we just kind of follow along. It's what we've done in the past. It's what we're doing currently. We sit and hope for goals that might get accomplished, knowing that most likely we're not going to achieve them. It's kind of nostalgic. We get caught up in the whole new year, new me energy. And I want this episode to be a new year, same old me, maybe just a little bit more focused kind of energy. You know, and we don't really know how to set goals really well. So never mind resolutions. You know, why don't we achieve them? Mainly because I think deep down in our heart, we know that hope is just not a really good strategy. We can get really overwhelmed by goals. We can feel really disappointed when we don't achieve them. And so we just kind of just don't do them, or we set these kind of resolutions that we've had every single year, you know, the I want to lose 10 pounds kind of resolutions, or I'm going to go to the gym. And the thing about setting these resolutions and the way that we've typically done them is that they don't really allow for any flexibility throughout the year. And sometimes we feel really tied to them in a way that isn't healthy for us, or doesn't have, you know, the flexibility that we actually need. And it doesn't really allow for some of life's challenges that show up. And then we walk away from things, or we never go to the gym, and then we feel like a failure, and we just kind of get really down on ourselves. And then we get into December again, and then we pull out the same resolutions that we've always had, and then we dust them off, and then we try to do it all over again, and to repeat year after year. I mean, how many times have you set the same resolution every single year for many years in a row, or have just given up on actually doing anything about it? And that's totally valid. But here's the thing. I have a totally different approach for you, and one that I believe is better. Maybe I'm a little bit biased about that, but that's the truth. I actually think this is better. Now, what I do is I use word or words. So one or, you know, at max 3 words for the year. And I've been using this strategy for over a decade, and it's been absolutely transformational. Now, I'm going to share the process with you. I'm going to give you insights into how I do it, and then how you can use this, not only just start off your year in a really grounded, exciting, and really authentic way, but something that you can use throughout the year as your own kind of check-in on how the year is going, and how to progress throughout the year. Now, in the show notes, I've included a link to a cheat sheet to help you with this process. And you can find it at www.ceciliamanella.com/words of 2024. And again, there is a link in the show notes. You can pause this episode and go download the cheat sheet, or you can just listen and download it later. Either way, use the cheat sheet, because it's going to make it so much easier for you. Now, here's what I want you to do. The cheat sheet has a long list of words. And now these are value words, and there's got to be at least 100 on the sheet. And what I want you to do is I want you to go through it. And I know, okay, so it's going to take a little bit of time. That's okay. You can set aside some time to do this. You're not going to need a lot of time. So if you can just find 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes to dedicate to this, trust me, it's going to be worth it. Now, I want you to go through the cheat sheet and I want you to read all the words that are listed. Now, some of them are going to stick out to you and some of them aren't. Okay. But I want you to read through them first. And then the second thing I want you to do is I want you to just focus on what you want for this year. I want you to think about, how do you want to feel throughout this year? What do you want to harness in this year? What do you want to focus on? Now, I'm not talking about goals. Okay. I want to be really clear. I want to talk about, how do you want to feel? What is the intention you want for the year? And when you look at this list of words, you're gonna really understand what I'm talking about. Do you want to harness more kindness? Do you want to harness more self-trust? Do you want more dedication? Do you want to harness integrity? I want you to think about these words that are really deep and meaningful words. And I want you to think about what you want for the year. Okay, we're not talking about goals. We're talking about a focus, something that you ground yourself in. And so I want you to go through this list. I want you to circle or write the ones out that speak to you for this year in particular. Okay. Then I want you to, so the first time I want you to go through it and just circle or write out on a piece of paper all the ones that you actually like really speak to you about 2024. And then I want you to narrow down that list to 1 or 3 words, but no more than 3. Now, I know this is going to be really hard. And I know you're going to say, but Cecilia, I want to have like 10 words because they all speak to me, but you got to cluster them, okay, into meaningful words. The problem is when we have too many of them, we focus on nothing and it defeats the entire purpose. Now, for years, I picked 1 word only. And this year is the first time I'm picking 3 words. Okay. And maybe because I'm really good at focusing on 1 word. So I'm challenging myself to do 3 words. Now, my 3 words for the year are consistency, trust, and abundance. Okay. So I want you to have your words. Once you have your words, I want you to write out what that word means to you. So I do not want you to go to Google and look up the actual definition of the word. I want you to define it. And I want you to write what it means to you. And I want you to dig a little deeper for you. I want you to really make this personal on the words that you're picking. Now, for me, consistency, which is one of my words, means showing up for myself. It means showing up in a way that is aligned with what I want. And it means showing up even when I don't want to, even when I'm tired and I don't feel like it, even when I want to break the words for myself, so the promises I make to myself, even though I want to negotiate on those promises, even when I want to give up, I'm going to be consistent. Now, I say, this because I get a little bit of shiny object syndrome, and I'm sure a lot of you understand what that means. It's like I can set off on a project and I get really distracted by the new thing, the new thought, the new idea. And it takes me off my course on consistency. And then I end up with a whole bunch of things that have been started, but not necessarily fully, completely finished. Now, I want to change this habit that I have of, getting distracted by all the shiny things. And I want to be consistent and I want to show up for myself consistently because, like you and like many of you, I will negotiate my own needs, desires, goals, and what I want in being able to show up for other people. Now, because I would rather show up for other people because I'm really good at it. I'm really good at helping other people. I'm really good for showing up for other people. I'm not always the best of showing up for myself. And so this year, I am using consistency as my word to hold myself accountable to showing up for myself. Now, the word trust for me means that not only do I trust myself, but trusting the process. Just like you, I can also be very impatient. And I spend my days coaching people on being patient with the process and trusting the process and how change happens. And it's not overnight. And it has to, comes back to consistency and it comes back to implementing new strategies and new ways of being and new ways of thinking. And I can get a little impatient with myself sometimes. So the word trust to me means not only going inside and trusting my own intuition, but also trusting the process and that the process may take a little bit of time and that I need to be in this for the long game, not for the short term. Right? We often get so caught up in the instant gratification. I mean, Amazon's done a fantastic job of that. You click buy now and that's it. It's very, very quick. And personal growth is not like that. I mean, if we had an Amazon for personal growth and I could develop that, I'd be a gajillionaire, but I'm not. It does take time. So trust is about trusting my intuition, calling in myself towards, holding myself accountable and trusting myself. Because in the last couple of years, I have questioned my intuition a little bit and I haven't really trusted myself. And I've learned a lot of lessons. And I'm not really interested in learning those lessons anymore. So, thank you to the universe for teaching me that I need to focus more on my trust of myself. But I am determined to not have to learn those lessons again. I'm in for new lessons. I do not want to learn the same lessons again. So, I'm harnessing trust. My last word, my third word, is abundance. Now, what does abundance actually mean to me? Abundance means moving away from a limiting mindset. Now, limiting thoughts and mindset have come up for me because of new things. So I've launched this podcast, which is a very new thing for me. And it's unfamiliar. And when I'm put into positions where I'm learning something new, where it's a little bit unfamiliar, I can default to limiting thoughts. Now, I know where those limiting thoughts and beliefs come from. I grew up with immigrant parents where limiting ideas were a reality of our lives. My parents gave up their life from where they came from their countries, and came to this country to build a new life and give us new opportunities. But there was a thought, an underlying idea and thinking and feeling around, limiting resources, limited money, limited ability to grow or to try new things. So that's somewhat embedded in my early childhood experiences. And I've worked really, really hard to challenge those. But the thing about doing something new is that they pop up, and that's totally okay. It's really okay that these things pop up because they're just going to, but it's about how we respond to them. And in doing new things this year, I want to embark with abundance. I don't want to be thinking about limiting ideas or reasons why something won't happen, or there isn't room to grow in some way, or there's an area that's already too saturated, like podcasting. So as I embark on 2024 with developing this podcast and launching courses and group coaching and writing a book, I want to harness the idea of abundance. I want to push against limiting ideas that there's only a limited amount of space or limited amount of people that might be interested, and thinking about the world as being very, very abundant. And so I want to open myself up to the limitlessness of life and limitlessness of what I want to do and how I want to show up this year. So those are my three words. Now I want you to do the same thing. I want you to pick your word or words, and I want you to dive into it. I want you to define it. I want you to write in depth about what it means to you and why it's important to you. So that's kind of the first thing you're going to do. Now, how do we use these? How do we use these words in 2024? And how can we make this a little bit different than goals? Okay, so here is the secret sauce to this. Identifying the words is the first step. And the second piece is how to apply them. Now, there are three main ways that you are going to use this in the new year, in this year, in 2024, that is going to transform your year. Trust me, this absolutely works. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to use these words to make decisions. We often get so sidetracked with shiny things, or we get distracted by what seems like an easier option, or we get pulled into what everybody else is doing, so we just hop on that wagon. Or, we're confronted with life's challenges and we have to make some decisions that maybe are really hard, and it's really difficult to figure out which is the right way to go. Now, I want you to use these words as a way to help you make decisions, and I want you to consult them. I know it sounds really strange, but I want you to trust me on this. So let's say, for example, there's a challenging situation in your relationship. Maybe you've had a really big fight or there's been a conflict. Now, let's say your word that you've picked is um, kindness. I want you to consult kindness as you navigate the decisions about this conflict. I want you to use kindness as a way to decide whether you choose option A or choose option B. I want you to use kindness in all the decisions that you make. And I want you to consult it. And the way that you consult it is by asking yourself, what would kindness tell me about this decision? What would kindness tell me about this situation that I find myself in? So I want you to use your words as a way of filtering how you make decisions. And what it does is it allows you a pause and it helps you remember what you pick to be valuable in this year. So I want you to use it to help you make decisions. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to look at these words as a way to influence the way that you behave. Okay, so this helps change our mindset by focusing on guiding words that you've decided that are authentic to you, authentic to your heart. So let's say that your word is authenticity. Then you would use this word to direct your actions and how you show up in the world. The only thing we have control over in your life and anything that you do, control is an illusion for the most part, but the only thing that we actually have control over is how we show up in the world, what we say and what we do. That's it. It's really just that simple. And what you can do is you can use these words as a way to help you show up in a more grounded way to who you are. Now, if there's a situation going on and you find yourself in a situation or having to interact with people, deal with conflict or setting boundaries, you can ask yourself, what would my word tell me? So if the word is, let's say, authentic, then how does authentic influence the way you show up in the world? It's leaning towards that instead of potentially the easier option of maybe shutting down or being passive aggressive or not setting boundaries or not saying what's on your heart. It is using this word to help you show up in the world that is more authentic and meaningful to what you want. And the third thing you can do to use these words is holding yourself accountable. Yes, accountability. That is a hard one. I know. It's about letting go of what other people think because it's more important to keep your own reputation for yourself and to yourself. So when you break promises, you're breaking your promises to yourself. And that's just not really worth it. Because every time we sacrifice a piece of ourselves to please somebody else, we lose our own accountability, we lose reputation with ourselves, and we lose self-trust. So I want you to use these words as a way of holding yourself accountable to yourself, not to measure a external goal. It's not about losing the 10 pounds. This is about holding yourself accountable to show up in the way that is meaningful to you. It's not directly related to a specific goal. Trust me when I tell you that this method works. If you use it before, you know how powerful this can be. And if this is a new concept to you, I am so excited for you. Trust me when I tell you that this can absolutely transform your year. Now, I want you to put up your words in places that you'll see them. I want you to write them out on the front page of your journal, or I want you to put them on the fridge or on the mirror, create a really beautiful image and put it on your phone background. You can go on Pinterest and you can find a ton of phone backgrounds that have your word in it. Put it as a computer screensaver. I want you to put it everywhere. I want you to have consistently, reminders that tell you what your words are, because this will help ground you in them as much as possible and be able to apply them as much as you possibly can. Now, I am so curious about what your words are. I'm excited to hear, what you've chosen for the year, how you plan on harnessing it for the year. You can drop some comments in our Instagram page and let us know what word you're using for the year. You can respond to the Q&A section on Spotify and let me know what your words are for the year. You can even shoot me off an email and let me know what your word for the year is. I am just excited to hear what your words are, what you're harnessing for this year, and moving away from resolution. So it's the anti-resolution process to the year. And it is a bit more gentler. It's less judgy on yourself for sure. It's getting rid of all the shoulds that you possibly could possibly put on yourself. We put so many shoulds on ourselves for the year of the goals and everything that we should do for the year. And it's a bit more gentler and softer and more encouraging. And what you're going to find by the end of the year, if you use this approach, is you are going to naturally accomplish way more than you thought was possible. And you're going to find that you are excited and proud of the way that you've navigated the year, in that you've rooted yourself in values, in words that are important to you, that are part of your heart. And the reflection of the year then can be really, really powerful. Trust me, it is worth it. You are worth it to do this exercise. So again, the link to the cheat sheet is in the show notes. And I want to hear about how your word goes. Thanks for tuning in today and being part of the Mental Makeover community. I am thrilled that you're here. Please share this episode with anyone that you think may benefit from discovering their word for the year or their words for the year. And it's a good way to have an accountability partner with someone in your life, with a friend, your partner, a coworker, a parent, a sibling. Accountability actually works, a gentle way of checking in with somebody. If you haven't had a chance to rate the podcast, I'd love it if you could take a minute to drop a review and make sure that you're following us, subscribing to the podcast. Thanks again for being part of the Mental Makeover community. Until next time, be bold, be brave, be well.